Okay, Dave, it's time to get going. It's quite a gash. So normally at this part, I start taking off the hands. What I'm going to do is try and stabilize this hand a little bit prior to removal. See if I can get that put back down a little bit. So give me a moment, I'll be back. So your dial ring is cracked. We will fix that. And your case and your dial back are 2 months apart, or 1 month apart, 3D and 4/1. So December 1973 for the dial back. Looks good. Okay, let's continue. A couple little minor things on your dial, but nothing terrible. Looks like somebody had some trouble getting your balance reseated and did some scratching here. It's a concern, but not. I looked at your balance staff and it doesn't look bad. So hopefully that's the worst of it. Okay, Dave. Well, that is the teardown. We are going to put a jewel in your arbor port and your other arbor port, which is up here. Replace this bushing. Once we do that, we can get into the cleaner, start putting things back together. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, Dave. Well, we're out of the cleaner and ready to start reassembly. I've been working in the background on a few things with your case and your dial and your hands just to kind of get everything cosmetically the way we had discussed. You have a new set of jewels in your watch, which are part of the arbor ports for the mainspring, or the mainspring barrel, I should say. And that's this jewel here, and you have another corresponding jewel that goes along with that in the bridge. So I'll show you that when we come to it. All right. Okay, that is your movement built. We're gonna check and see how we improve the performance and make some adjustments. We'll be right back. Okay, well, what I didn't remark about when we were doing the rebuild was that I actually replaced your mainspring, and the ones I replace them with, I have a lot of confidence that I can put these stronger mainsprings in because we're doing the jeweling, and it really does help with the performance considerably. So let's get things adjusted and then we can get back to the reassembly. Okay, well, I'm going to call that pretty good. Plus or minus a few seconds a day, hovering around 0, excellent amplitude, no beat error. That seems like we're ready to move on to the next step. We're going to let this break in just a little bit, let everything kind of get its way around. Of course, we'll make fine adjustments when we're in the case, because these movements are a little bit, you know, you do multi-positional adjusting. And the one that really matters the most is, of course, dial up, and I'm adjusting it here, dial down. So I have to always tweak it a little bit once we get it in the case and get it right. So looking good. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, let's get the calendar put together and the keyless works. All right, that is the end of the movement construction. We're going to move on to your dial in your hands and get things back together. All right, we're back in the case, ready for the last pieces. All right, well, there it is. The venerable 6139-6015 deep blue, all ready to make its way back to you. It's looking really, really good. This is a beautiful little watch. I love the symmetric case 6139s. It's just such a cool design, you know. It Reminds me of the early slim case divers, and I don't know. I just really like these. I have a bunch in my collection, and yours came out great. So let's just review. As you've seen, service went really well. Putting in a new mainspring really makes a difference, and I'll explain to you why I did that. But just to kind of go over the watch, you know, your dial is a little, it has its little dings and dents here and there from time under the service of others, but you know, I didn't add to any issues there. You can maybe make out a tiny little discoloration right there, but other than that, it came out really nice. Your loom still holds up quite well. We left the loom on the hand exactly as it was. I didn't change it. And really, honestly, there's so much good stuff to look at that a little bit of lost loom doesn't really take away from the quality of the watch. I saved your chip. It definitely needed some repair here. As soon as I touched it, the thing flaked off, and I knew it was going to do that. But I got it nailed back down and put a little bit of essentially just some clear binder over top, and it's pretty seamless. It looks a little bit shiny, but you really have to look under pretty hard magnification to see any difference there. So that came out pretty nice. Case cleaned up beautifully. I didn't polish it, I just cleaned it, so it really is doing quite well. Performance is really stellar. I mean, super accurate, high amplitude, just a good runner. I straightened your crown, and that came out pretty well. It's still got a little bit, but I took it as far as I felt comfortable, and it's perfectly fine. You can't see any of the impact of that on the movement of the dial. Sometimes if they're really a long case with a bent stem or a bent crown, you can see the dial kind of give a little shimmy as you set the time, but honestly, you don't see anything here. It's really buttery smooth and nice. New seals everywhere, of course. It just is a really great little watch. So to go over, we did replace your mainspring, and the reason is the following. You can see your mainspring is lifted off of my bench here, and this carves into, and it did carve into, the top of your barrel cap, and that's loss of power and a real problem. I mean, it shouldn't be that way. These things can get tweaked through age and service in the past, so you know, rather than risk it getting hung up and having a problem, the reward is a better mainspring with more power. So you get something really great in replacing this. Everything else was consumable as far as that goes. We had case back seal, which is pretty stiff. Here's your crystal. This is not an original crystal as far as I can tell. I think it's been replaced at some point in the past, but it has a slightly different profile than these, and I don't think this is Hardlex. This is your bushing that we replaced with a jewel in your mainspring arbor port. Your other seals from your pushers and your crown were just essentially dust by the time I got finished removing them, so they're not in the bag. But all this other stuff will come home with the watch, so you can do what you will with it, whatever you care to do. Your bracelet is coming home. I won't put it on, only because I know you're getting a new bracelet, and so I think that the best thing would be to just pack this into a nice bag and send it home with the watch and let you keep it forever with this. It should stay with the watch because, you know, that's the original. But again, just for safety's sake, I would say that, you know, keeping this in a bag and not on the wrist is probably the best bet. It's just really not worth it. I mean, if you drop this watch, you're gonna be sad. It's gonna have an issue if you drop it. So couple more little refinements in terms of getting the timing right. I'll just go back in and let it run for a little bit and give it a tweak. But overall, everything works exactly as it should. Your day and date change is perfectly smooth here. Your chronograph is working just fine. We can manually take it through the day and date change. All right, there it goes. Perfect. Okay, well, Dave, thank you so much for sending me this watch. It's really a pleasure to work on these. I love bringing them back to their glory. It just is a pretty watch. I love that blue. It's so good. Yeah, I think it came out great. All right, well, thank you very much, and I'll be in touch. Thanks for watching.